Olivia Hart was nobody special, just another human servant in the vast crystalline palace of the Xyrillian Empire. She kept her head down and did her job cleaning the endless shimmering corridors that stretched across the alien capital ship. The massive vessel housed over 10,000 Xyrillians and nearly 1,000 human workers who served as maintenance staff, food preparers, and personal assistants to the alien nobility. The Xyrillians were an advanced species, mostly female, with iridescent skin that changed colors based on their emotions. Their society was matriarchal, with Queen Zalara the Magnificent ruling with absolute authority. Humans were seen as primitive but useful for menial tasks. After Earth had been peacefully incorporated into the Xyrillian Empire 2 decades ago, many humans sought work among the stars, seeing it as an opportunity for adventure, or at least a steady income. Olivia had been aboard the royal vessel for 3 years now. She had left behind a failed art career and mounting debts on Earth for the promise of seeing the galaxy. Even if that meant scrubbing alien floors, the pay was decent enough to send some credits back home to her aging mother in Arizona, and the aliens treated her better than some human bosses she had known. Still, she remained invisible, a background fixture in the grand scheme of the Empire. Life aboard the ship followed a strict routine. Olivia would wake in the cramped human quarters, dress in her plain gray uniform, and report to the supply station for her daily cleaning assignment. She rarely spoke to the other humans, each lost in their own thoughts and memories of Earth. The Xyrillians discouraged fraternization among the human staff, believing it led to inefficiency and potential rebellion. On this particular day, Olivia had been reassigned to the Royal Wing, a place few humans ever ventured. The supervisor, a middle-ranked Xyrillian named Vexa, handed her a special access card with narrowed, multifaceted eyes. Do not deviate from the assigned corridors, Vexa warned, her skin flickering with cautionary orange. The Royal Wing contains sensitive areas. The Queen herself resides there. Make yourself invisible. Human. Olivia nodded, keeping her eyes downcast as was expected when addressing a Xyrillian. Yes, Supervisor Vexa, I understand. She carried her cleaning supplies through unfamiliar passages, marveling at the intricate designs that pulsed with soft blue light. The walls themselves seemed alive, carved from a crystalline material that hummed with energy. The air smelled different here too, like ozone and something floral that she couldn't quite identify. The Royal Wing was deserted, unlike the bustling main corridors. Olivia moved quietly, polishing the already immaculate surfaces. Even the floors gleamed like mirrors, reflecting her plain human face back at her. She wondered why they even needed cleaning staff when everything appeared perfect. After several hours of work, Olivia reached a junction, with multiple identical corridors branching off. She checked her digital map, but the signal wavered in this section of the ship. She tried to remember Vex's instructions, but all the crystalline hallways looked the same to her human eyes. Olivia turned left when she should have turned right. She pushed through an archway that rippled like water, and suddenly found herself in the most magnificent room she had ever seen. The Queen's private chamber. The ceiling soared at least 30 feet high, with crystal chandeliers that floated without support, casting rainbow light across the vast space. The walls were lined with artifacts from 100 worlds, precious metals and strange technologies beyond human understanding. A massive bed dominated one side of the room, covered in shimmering fabrics that seemed to move on their own. A pleasant scent filled the air, making Olivia feel oddly calm despite her growing panic. Before she could retreat, Queen Zalara herself entered from another doorway. Her skin shimmered with royal purple, her 8-foot-tall frame adorned with crystalline ornaments that caught the light. Her head was crowned with a living diadem of tiny creatures that resembled butterflies but with luminescent wings. The Queen froze, her multifaceted eyes widening at the sight of a human in her sanctuary. Olivia dropped to her knees, terrified. This was it, the end of her short, meaningless life. Humans were strictly forbidden in the royal chambers, without special escort. Everyone knew the stories of servants who had disappeared after minor infractions against the crown. The Queen spoke, her voice melodic yet firm. Human, you have trespassed into forbidden space. The penalty is death. But something unexpected happened. The Queen tilted her head, studying Olivia with curiosity. "You do not seem afraid," she observed. "Why?" Olivia swallowed hard and spoke the truth. "I am afraid, Your Majesty. But I also accept my fate. I made a mistake, and in your culture, that means death." "I understand, Queen." Solara moved closer, her skin shifting to a curious shade of turquoise. "How strange," she mused. "Most species beg for their lives. But you humans, you accept things with such quiet dignity. It is puzzling." The Queen circled Olivia like a predator evaluating. "Pray, are all humans like you?" "No, Your Majesty," Olivia replied, keeping her head bowed. "We are as different from each other as I imagine your people are." This answer seemed to intrigue the Queen. Her skin rippled with patterns of interest. "Tell me, human, what is your designation?" Olivia Hart, Cleaning Staff Section. 12. Your Majesty. The Queen made a sound like tinkling glass. Olivia realized with shock that she was laughing. A human name so simple yet so individual. We Xyrillians share collective designations based on our hive lineage. Our true names contain genetic markers incomprehensible to other species. Then something unprecedented occurred. An alarm blared throughout the palace. The Queen's skin flashed defensive red as she received information. Through her neural link, "The ship is under attack," she hissed. "Vexidian rebels." The Vexidians were a splinter faction of Xyrillians who opposed the Queen's rule, believing the Empire should conquer, rather than incorporate new species. They had been conducting terrorist attacks on royal vessels for the past year, but had never dared strike the capital ship directly. The chamber shook violently as something struck the ship. The Queen stumbled her ceremonial attire, hampering her movement. When a second blast hit, she fell, striking her head against a crystal pillar. Purple blood began to pool beneath her. Guards would arrive soon, but Olivia made a split-second decision that would change the course of galactic history. Instead of running, she rushed to the fallen Queen. Using her cleaning cloth, she applied pressure to the wound. "Your Majesty, stay with me," she urged. Remembering first aid training from Earth, the basics of treating head injuries were similar across most species. Control bleeding, prevent shock, keep the patient still. The Queen stared at her with confusion. "Why help me? Human. You could escape." Olivia shook her head. "That isn't who we are. Not all of us anyway." The ship rocked with another explosion, smaller this time. The lights flickered, plunging the chamber into momentary darkness. When they returned, Olivia saw the Queen's blood had soaked through the cloth. She tore a strip from her uniform to create a fresh bandage. The Queen reached up with a six-fingered hand, touching Olivia's face gently. "Your species is a contradiction. Weak yet resilient. Primitive yet innovative. I never bothered to learn about you." The doors to the chamber remained sealed during the attack, a security measure to protect the Queen. But that also meant no medical help could reach them. Olivia knew enough about Xyrillian physiology to understand the Queen was going into shock. Her skin was fading to a dull gray, the color of illness or approaching death. Olivia looked around desperately for something to help. She spotted a cabinet with various bottles and containers, Xyrillian medical supplies perhaps. She dragged the Queen to a more comfortable position on the plush carpet, then hurried to investigate. Most containers bore labels in the flowing script of the Xyrillian language, which Olivia could not read. She uncapped several, sniffing their contents until she found one with the distinctive smell of antiseptic. Returning to the Queen, she carefully cleaned the wound. The minutes stretched into an hour. The attack seemed to have subsided, but the doors remained locked. Olivia talked constantly to keep the Queen conscious, telling her about Earth, about her childhood in the Arizona desert, about her dreams of being an artist. The Queen listened, her eyes half closed. "Did you create beautiful things, human?" Olivia smiled sadly, thinking of her abandoned paintings. "I tried. Your Majesty, I wasn't very good, that's why I ended up here." The Queen made a soft sound. "Perhaps that is our greatest difference your kind creates. We Xyrillians only perfect what already exists. We have not created new art in 10,000 years. When the royal guards finally burst in, they found a shocking scene. A human kneeling beside their queen using primitive but effective techniques to stabilize her condition. The guards immediately raised their weapons' energy spears humming with deadly power. "Stop," the queen commanded weakly. "This human has saved me." The guards hesitated, unused to disobeying, but equally unused to finding their monarch bleeding on the floor with a human touching her royal person. "Take us both to medical," Zalara ordered. "The human is under my protection." Olivia found herself escorted rather than dragged to the medical bay where she watched anxiously as Xyrillian healers treated their queen. The head physician, a female with pale green skin, approached her afterward. "The queen will recover thanks to your quick action." The physician seemed reluctant to admit it. "Our scans show you prevented significant blood loss with your primitive methods. Most impressive for a species with such limited medical knowledge." 3 days passed before Olivia heard anything about her fate. She was kept in a small but comfortable room adjacent to the medical bay. Neither prisoner nor guest. The guards brought her meals and clean clothes but offered no information. She spent the time staring out a small viewport at the stars, wondering if she would ever see Earth again. On the 4th day, the door slid open and a royal attendant entered. Her skin shimmered with formal gold markings. "The queen requests your presence, human. Follow me." Olivia was led through a series of corridors she had never seen before. The damage from the attack was already being repaired. Xyrillian efficiency at work. They arrived at a private medical chamber where Queen Zalara reclined on a healing platform. Her head was partially wrapped in a translucent material that pulsed with soft light. Her skin had regained its healthy purple hue. The attendants withdrew, leaving them alone. The queen studied Olivia with those unsettling, multifaceted eyes that seemed to see everything. Later in the medical bay, Queen Zalara made an announcement that stunned her advisors. "This human has shown courage and compassion, qualities we have not recognized in their species. We have misjudged them." The queen turned to Olivia. "You shall no longer be a servant. You will become my cultural advisor to help us better understand your kind." Olivia blinked in shock. "Your Majesty, I don't understand. I am not qualified. I am just a cleaner." The queen made the tinkling glass sound of Xyrillian laughter. "You humans and your modesty. You saved my life when you could have fled. That shows judgment. I value judgment over qualifications. Qualification can be taught. Judgment is innate." Olivia struggled to process this change in her circumstances. From invisible servant to royal advisor. The thought was overwhelming. What would this new position even entail? The queen seemed to sense her confusion. "My empire includes 17 sapient species, yet I know little about any of them beyond their economic and military value. This is a weakness." The rebel attack exposed many weaknesses. A healer entered the room, checking the queen's vital signs on a floating holographic display. The queen waved her away impatiently. "You will have quarters in the royal wing, a stipend, and access to our knowledge archives," the queen continued. "You will teach me about humanity, not the diplomatic reports or scientific studies, but the truth of your species, your strengths, your weaknesses, your contradictions." Olivia nodded slowly, finding her voice. "Your Majesty, I will do my best. Though I am just one human, I cannot speak for all of us." This pleased the queen, her skin rippling with approval. "Wisdom already. You understand your limitations. This is good." Within a day, Olivia was moved to new quarters in the royal wing. A spacious apartment with actual windows looking out into space. The rooms were designed for Xyrillian physiology, with furniture too large for her human frame, but still luxurious beyond anything she had experienced. The bathroom contained unfamiliar fixtures that took her hours to figure out. The food delivery system offered Earth cuisine, albeit strange approximations of familiar dishes. Her new wardrobe contained a mixture of human and Xyrillian styles modified for her smaller stature. Gone was the gray uniform of a servant, replaced by colorful fabrics that marked her new status. News of her promotion spread quickly throughout the ship. The other humans regarded her with a mixture of awe and suspicion. Some believed she had somehow engineered the situation. The Xyrillians mostly kept their distance, some showing obvious disapproval at her elevation. Vexa, her former supervisor, visited her new quarters, her skin dark with suppressed emotion. "You have risen far for a simple cleaner," she observed. "The Queen's favor is a dangerous gift, human. Do not forget your place." Olivia nodded cautiously. "I never asked for this position." Vexa made a dismissive gesture, with her long fingers. "The motives of the Queen are beyond our understanding. But know this, human. Many eyes will be watching you. Many will expect you to fail." After Vexa left, Olivia sat on the edge of her too large bed, wondering what she had gotten herself into. She was an art school dropout with mounting debt, not a diplomat. She knew little about politics or alien cultures. How could she possibly advise the Queen of the most powerful empire in known space? The next morning she was summoned to the Queen's private library, a vast room with walls of crystal data storage and floating screens. The Queen, already recovered from her injuries, sat amid a cloud of holographic displays showing Earth art, literature, and history. "Teach me about beauty," the Queen commanded, gesturing to the floating images. "Your species creates so much art, music, literature." Why? Olivia approached cautiously. "We create to express ourselves, Your Majesty, to share our emotions, our experiences, our dreams." The Queen tilted. Her head. "Art has no practical purpose yet. You devote your short lives to it." Olivia considered this. "We believe art gives meaning to life. Without beauty, without expression, life is just survival." This seemed to trouble the Queen, her skin shifting to a thoughtful blue. Art as meaning, not function. How strange. In the weeks that followed, Olivia introduced the Queen to human literature, music, and philosophy. The Queen was particularly moved by stories of human sacrifice and loyalty. She listened to Earth music with intense concentration, asked endless questions about cultural differences, requested explanations for idioms and metaphors. Olivia found herself drawing on half-remembered art history classes, college literature courses, and general knowledge. She showed the Queen reproductions of great paintings, explained the significance of different art movements, introduced her to Shakespeare and Jane Austen, played recordings of jazz, blues, classical, and rock music. The Queen proved to be an insatiable student, demanding deeper explanations for human behaviors and customs that Olivia had never thought to question. Why do humans value individual achievement over collective goals? Why do you write stories about imaginary events? Why do you keep pets with no practical purpose? Gradually, Olivia realized she was learning as much about Xyrillian culture as the Queen was learning about humanity. The Xyrillians valued efficiency, permanence, and hierarchy. They created nothing without purpose, built nothing that wasn't meant to last millennia. Their art, if it could be called that, consisted of perfect reproductions of ancient designs. Their music was mathematical, their literature instructional. As the days passed, Olivia grew more comfortable in her role. She began to request materials from Earth, including her own small art supplies. Some evenings she would sketch the strange alien landscapes outside her window, or the crystalline architecture of the ship. The Queen found her one evening, bent over a drawing, her fingers stained with charcoal. "What are you creating?" "Human." Olivia showed her the sketch of the Queen's own throne room. "Just practicing, Your Majesty. I haven't drawn in years." The Queen studied the drawing with interest. "It is imperfect," she observed. "The proportions are incorrect. The details simplified." Olivia smiled. "Yes, that's what makes it human art. We see the world through imperfect eyes and create imperfect reflections." The Queen touched the drawing with one long finger. "Yet it captures something my people's perfect reproductions do not. A feeling." "Yes, Your Majesty. That's exactly it." The Queen requested art lessons after that. Olivia taught her to hold a pencil designed for much smaller hands, showed her how to see shapes and shadows, guided her through simple sketches. The Queen's first attempts were methodical and stiff, but gradually she began to understand the concept of artistic interpretation. One day, as they worked side by side, the Queen asked Olivia a question that revealed how much their relationship had changed. Do you miss your home? Olivia paused, considering. Sometimes I miss the open sky, the feeling of rain, the smell of the desert after a storm. But Earth was never very kind to me. I had no real place there. The Queen nodded, her own artwork forgotten. What gives a being a place? Olivia Hart. Olivia thought about this. Purpose, I suppose. Connection to others. Feeling that your existence matters. And have you found such a place here? Olivia looked at the Queen, surprised by the personal nature of the question. I think I might be starting to. Their discussions gradually expanded beyond culture, into politics and social structures. Olivia learned about the complex hierarchy of the Xyrillian Empire, the role of the 17 subject species, the growing tensions with neighboring stellar nations. She began to understand that the Empire, while technologically advanced, was facing challenges from within and without. As trust grew between them, Olivia revealed another truth. The Xyrillian Empire was facing growing rebellion because of how they treated subject species, including humans. If they wanted lasting peace, they needed to change. The subject species are not truly part of your empire, Olivia explained. They serve but do not belong. They obey but do not choose loyalty. The Vexidian rebels exploit this discontent, promising the subject species freedom or at least better treatment. At first, the Royal Council was outraged at such boldness. But Queen Zalara listened. Her skin turned thoughtful yellow as she considered Olivia's words. You believe we face rebellion because we do not understand our subjects. The Queen mused. Olivia nodded carefully. Yes, Your Majesty. The Empire sees other species as resources, not as peoples with their own dreams and desires. The humans who serve on this ship, they didn't come here because they admire the Empire. They came because they had few other choices. Olivia felt a chill at the priestess's words. She chose her response carefully. Change comes whether we wish it or not. Your Eminence, the Empire faces new challenges. The Queen's reforms seek to address those challenges while preserving what is most valuable about Xyrillian culture. The priestess moved closer, her ancient face inches from Olivia's. You speak of preservation human, yet you know nothing of what you seek to change. The Empire was not built in years or decades, but millennia. Each tradition, each hierarchy, each role serves a purpose. Your kind lives such brief lives you cannot comprehend the consequences of rapid change. Before Olivia could respond, the priestess continued. Our species ruled the stars when yours still huddled in caves. We have seen empires rise and fall. We have outlasted challenges you cannot imagine. And we have done so by remaining true to our nature. And what is that nature? Olivia asked, genuinely curious. To perfect, not create. To preserve, not destroy. To maintain order across the stars. The priestess raised her arms, the sleeves of her ceremonial robes falling back to reveal skin covered in intricate patterns. The rebels are wrong to use violence. The Queen is wrong to embrace chaos. Both paths lead to ruin. Olivia considered her words, Your Eminence, with respect. I believe there is a middle path, one that honors tradition while allowing necessary adaptation. The Queen does not seek to destroy what makes the Xyrillians great, but to ensure the Empire endures by evolving. The priestess studied her for a long moment. You truly believe this? You are not merely seeking advantage for your kind. I want the Empire to thrive, Olivia said honestly. That benefits everyone, including humans. After their meeting, Olivia reported the conversation to the Queen, who listened with interest. The religious faction has remained neutral until now. She observed they rarely involve themselves in governance. That the High Priestess sought you out shows how deeply these reforms have shaken our society. Do you think she represents a threat? Olivia asked. The Queen considered. Not directly. The priesthood controls no military forces, but they hold significant cultural influence. If they openly oppose the reforms, many Xyrillians will follow their guidance. We must find a way to address their concerns without abandoning our course. The following day brought a new development. A delegation of Vexidian rebels requested safe passage to the royal vessel to present their grievances directly to the Queen. The request shocked the imperial court. The rebels had been conducting violent attacks for months. Now they sought dialogue. The Security Council was divided. Some saw it as a trap, others as an unprecedented opportunity. The Queen listened to all perspectives before making her decision. We will grant safe passage, but with strict conditions. The delegation will be limited to 3 representatives. They will undergo thorough scanning. Their vessel will remain at a safe distance. Olivia found herself unexpectedly included in the preparations for the rebel meeting. The Queen requested her presence. You have shown insight into conflicts between different perspectives. She explained, I value your observations. The rebel delegation arrived. 2 days later, their ship, a small unmarked vessel, was escorted by Imperial fighters to a docking bay, isolated from the main ship. The 3 representatives were subjected to multiple security scans before being allowed to board. Olivia observed them with interest. Physically, they looked similar to other Xyrillians, but their skin patterns were different, more chaotic, less formal. They moved with a nervous energy that contrasted with the usual Xyrillian reserve. The meeting took place in a neutral chamber stripped of imperial symbols. The Queen attended with minimal ceremony. Her usual elaborate attire replaced by a simpler design. Her guards remained present but discreet. The lead rebel, a female with striking red and black skin patterns, bowed with obvious reluctance, Your Majesty. We come seeking understanding, not conflict. The Queen acknowledged the greeting with a nod. You have attacked imperial vessels, killed loyal subjects, and spread dissent throughout the empire. Understanding seems an unusual goal for such actions. The rebel leader did not flinch. We fight for the true destiny of the empire. The Xyrillian species evolved to rule, not to share power with lesser beings. Your recent reforms betray our evolutionary purpose. From her position at the side of the chamber, Olivia watched the exchange with fascination. The rebels and the traditionalists shared a belief in Xyrillian superiority, yet they had become enemies. The rebels wanted conquest. The traditionalists, preservation. Both opposed the Queen's middle path. The discussion continued for hours. The rebels presented their vision: an empire where Xyrillians ruled openly, not through the pretense of incorporation. Other species would serve their natural masters without the illusion of equality. The Queen listened, asking occasional questions, allowing the rebels to fully express their position. When they had finished, she spoke. We share a concern for the empire's future, but not the same vision of what that future should be. You believe strength comes from dominance. I have come to believe it emerges from unity. True unity, not mere submission. The rebel leader scoffed. A pleasant fantasy, Your Majesty. But contrary to the natural order, lesser species must be controlled, not consulted. The Queen tilted her head. These lesser species, as you call them, have developed technologies, arts, and philosophies we have never imagined. They adapt where we perfect. They create where we preserve. I have learned there is strength in this diversity, strength the empire needs. The meeting ended without resolution. The rebels returned to their vessel with safe passage back to neutral space. The Queen watched them depart, her expression unreadable. Later, she summoned Olivia to her private chambers. The rebels will not be persuaded. She stated they are committed to their vision as I am to mine. Conflict is inevitable. Olivia nodded. This was clear from their words, Your Majesty. But the meeting was still valuable. The Queen looked at her curiously. How so? Now the Empire sees you have tried diplomacy even with those who have attacked you, Olivia explained. It strengthens your position with moderates. When you must use force against the rebels, they will understand it was not your first choice. The Queen made the tinkling sound of Xyrillian laughter. You understand political theater well for a former cleaning staff. Livia smiled slightly. I have been learning, Your Majesty. The rebel meeting had an unexpected consequence. It solidified support for the Queen among previously hesitant factions. The stark contrast between the rebels' aggressive posture and the Queen's willingness to engage in dialogue impressed many. The reforms began to gain momentum. New policies were implemented. Throughout the Empire, humans and other species were promoted to positions previously reserved for Xyrillians. Cultural centers were established on major worlds. Educational programs were expanded to include history and achievements of all imperial species. Gradually, tentatively, cooperation began to replace mere coexistence. Olivia found her role evolving as well. From advisor to the Queen on human matters, she became something of an ambassador helping bridge gaps between species. She worked closely with Dr. Chen and the human diplomatic team, while maintaining her unique connection to the Queen. 6 months after her accidental entry into the royal chambers, Olivia stood on the observation deck watching a ceremony unlike any in imperial history. Representatives from all 17 species planted ceremonial trees in the royal garden. Each tree native to a different world would grow together in a symbolic ecosystem. The Queen herself knelt in the soil, assisting with the planting. Her royal dignity set aside for this moment of unity, Dr. Chen joined Olivia at the viewport. "Quite a sight," she remarked. 6 months ago, this would have been unimaginable. A Xyrillian queen with soil on her hands, planting trees with species they considered inferior. Olivia nodded, watching the scene with a sense of wonder. "It still feels fragile, like it could all collapse if pushed too hard." Chen sighed. "You aren't wrong. The traditionalists haven't given up. They are simply regrouping. The rebels continue their attacks in the outer systems. And the Queen, while visionary, is still a product of Xyrillian culture. Change comes slowly, even with the best intentions." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent alert. Sensors had detected unusual activity. Near the ship, Olivia felt a chill of premonition. The security protocols had been relaxed for the ceremony to allow representatives from all species to participate, had they created a vulnerability. Before she could voice her concerns, the ship rocked violently. Alarms blared throughout the vessel. Warning signs flashed on every display. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut, sealing off sections of the ship. Explosion in sectors 7 through 9. A mechanical voice announced, "Casualties reported. Security breach detected." Olivia and Dr. Chen exchanged horrified glances. The garden where the ceremony was taking place was in Sector 8. The Queen, all the representatives, they were at the center of whatever was happening. Security personnel rushed past them, heading toward the affected areas. Olivia followed, ignoring Chen's calls to stay back. She had to know if the Queen was safe, if the fragile progress they had made was about to be shattered. The corridors became increasingly chaotic. Smoke filled. The air-injured crew members, both Xyrillian and human, were being treated where they fell. Medical teams worked frantically to stabilize the wounded for transport. The damage was extensive, worse than the previous rebel attack. The royal announcement ceremony was conducted with all the pomp and tradition the Xyrillians loved. The great assembly hall gleamed with crystalline light as representatives from every species in the Empire gathered. Olivia watched from a side chamber as dignitaries filed in. The hierarchy was visible in their positioning. Xyrillians at the front, other species arranged by their status within the Empire. Humans among the furthest back. Queen Zalara entered last, her ceremonial attire, including a flowing cape that seemed to capture and amplify light. Her skin glowed with royal purple, accented with gold patterns of authority. The entire assembly bowed as one, a ripple of movement that flowed from front to back. The Queen took her position on the raised dais and began to speak. Her voice amplified throughout the chamber. "Today marks a turning point for our empire. For 10,000 years we have ruled the stars following the wisdom of our ancestors. This wisdom has brought us dominance, stability, and technological mastery." She paused, looking out over the assembled representatives. "Yet wisdom that does not evolve becomes dogma. Strength that does not adapt becomes weakness. The recent attacks on this very vessel have shown vulnerabilities in our empire, vulnerabilities that stem not from our technology, but from our understanding." The assembly remained silent, but Olivia could see tension in the posture of the elder counselors, their skin patterns shifting to concerned oranges and reds. The Queen continued, For millennia, we have incorporated species into our empire without truly understanding them. We have demanded their service without earning their loyalty. This must change. From this day forward, each species within the empire will have representation on the Royal Council. Each will have a voice in decisions that affect their worlds. The chamber erupted in noise. Xyrillian counselors protesting, representatives of other species, buzzing, humming, or clicking in surprise. The Queen raised a hand and the room gradually fell silent. 3 months later, the Queen announced reforms throughout the empire. Subject species would be granted representation and basic rights. The changes were met with resistance from traditionalists, but also with hope from billions of oppressed beings. These reforms will begin immediately. The Queen declared, "I have already selected the first non-Xyrillian council members. They will arrive within the month to take their positions. Additionally, we will establish cultural exchange programs to foster greater understanding between all imperial species." The counselors could contain themselves no longer. One elder female rose, her skin flashing angry red. "This is unprecedented, Your Majesty. These lesser species lack the intelligence, the evolutionary development to participate in governance. They will destroy what we have built." The Queen fixed her with a multifaceted stare. "Counselor Xylith, you have served the Empire for 4 centuries. Your wisdom is valued. But consider this: the Empire has faced more rebellions in the past decade than in the previous century. Our current approach is failing. It is time to try another." From her position, Olivia could see the representatives of other species. Their reactions ranged from shock to cautious hope. The humans in attendance whispered among themselves, some looking directly at Olivia. Knowledge of her role in these changes having spread throughout the ship, after the ceremony, Olivia was summoned to a private council chamber. There she found the Queen facing a group of senior advisors. The tension in the room was palpable. "There she is," one counselor hissed. "This human who has poisoned our queens." Mind Olivia kept her expression neutral, though. Her heart raced. The Queen gestured for her to approach Olivia. "Heart has shown me perspectives I would not otherwise have seen." The Queen stated, "She has committed no crime unless honest counsel is now forbidden in our empire." The counselors exchanged glances. "Your Majesty," another spoke. "This human cannot understand the complexities of imperial politics. The reforms you propose threaten thousands of years of stability." The Queen tilted her head. "That stability has become stagnation. Counselor, the empire does not grow. It merely expands. The Vexidian rebellion is a symptom of deeper problems." The discussion continued for hours. Olivia standing silently as the counselors presented arguments against the reforms. The Queen listened to, all weighing their concerns against her new vision. At last she raised her hand, ending the debate. "My decision stands. The reforms will proceed. I understand your reservations and value your counsel, but as Queen, the final choice is mine." The counselors departed, their skin patterns showing their disapproval. When they had gone, the Queen turned to Olivia. "You have been silent throughout this discussion." Why Olivia chose her words carefully. "This is an internal matter for your people. Your Majesty, I have already shared my thoughts with you. The decision must be yours." The Queen made a sound of approval. "You understand power better than many born to it." Olivia Hart. "Now we must prepare for the arrival of the new council members. The first true test of these reforms." The following weeks were filled with frantic activity. Quarters had to be prepared for species with vastly different environmental needs. Translation systems updated to handle complex diplomatic language. The human representatives would be among the first to arrive, selected from Earth governments and academic institutions. Olivia found herself serving as an unofficial liaison between the existing Xyrillian power structure and the incoming representatives. Given her unique position, as the Queen's advisor, she could bridge the gap between worlds. Several times she intercepted potential diplomatic incidents, explaining human customs to confused Xyrillians or warning human diplomats about Xyrillian taboos. Not everyone appreciated her efforts. One evening she returned to her quarters to find a message projected onto her wall in glowing Xyrillian script. She couldn't read the language, but the meaning was clear enough. A crude image of a human figure with a line drawn through it. She reported the threat to royal security, but downplayed her concerns when speaking with the Queen. Change always faces resistance. Your Majesty, I am just an easy target. The Queen was not so easily reassured. I have assigned additional guards to your quarters. The enemies of progress must not be allowed to threaten you. Despite the security measures, Olivia grew more cautious. She varied her routines, avoided isolated corridors, and kept alert for potential threats. The ship was vast, and while the Queen might support the reforms, many Xyrillians clearly did not. The arrival of the new council members temporarily shifted attention away from Olivia. The ship buzzed with activity as representatives from 17 species came aboard. Each arrival ceremony was broadcast throughout the Empire, a visible symbol of the Queen's new vision. The first meeting of the expanded council was historic. The ancient chamber had been modified to accommodate beings of various sizes, atmospheres, and physiological needs. Floating translation devices hovered near each representative, ensuring all could understand and be understood. Olivia watched from an observation gallery as the Queen opened the session. Her skin glowed with formal patterns as she welcomed the new members. For too long, the Empire has been governed by one perspective. Today we begin a new chapter. Together, we will build an empire where all species thrive. Not merely exist, the human representative, Dr. Lily Chen, a respected diplomat from the United Earth government, spoke for many when she responded. The path to true understanding between species will not be easy, Your Majesty, but it is necessary if the Empire is to endure. We come not as subjects, but as partners in this new vision. The first sessions were predictably difficult. Centuries of hierarchy could not be dismantled in days. Xyrillian counselors accustomed to dominating discussions had to learn to listen. Representatives of formerly subjugated species sometimes let resentment cloud their judgment. The Queen moderated with remarkable patience, steering the council toward productive dialogue. Behind the scenes, Olivia continued to advise both the Queen and the human representatives. She found herself, unexpectedly, at the center of an emerging network of cross-species communication. As the only human who had worked closely with the Queen, she could explain Xyrillian thought patterns to confused human diplomats. One evening, after a particularly contentious council session, Dr. Chen sought Olivia out, inviting her to the human diplomatic quarters for a private conversation. The quarters were luxurious by human standards, though modest compared to Xyrillian royal chambers. Earth artwork hung on the walls, and the furniture was properly sized for human occupants. Dr. Chen, a woman in her 50s with streaks of gray in her dark hair, offered Olivia a cup of real Earth tea, a luxury in deep space. You know the Queen better than any human, Olivia, Dr. Chen said, studying her over the rim of her teacup. Is she sincere about these reforms? Or is this some elaborate strategy to quell rebellion without actually sharing power? Olivia considered the question carefully. She is sincere, I believe. But she is also practical. The Empire faces real threats, both internal and external. She sees reform as necessary for survival. Dr. Chen nodded, sipping her tea. You were a cleaning staff before this, weren't you? Not a diplomat, not a politician. Just an ordinary person in an extraordinary situation. Olivia smiled slightly. I was nobody, an art school dropout with debt. Now people look at me like I have answers. Perhaps you do, Chen replied. The Queen listens to you. That gives you influence. Use it wisely. The reforms are fragile. Many on both sides expect them to fail. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives of all species expressing shock, outrage, fear. The revelation that high-ranking Xyrillians had orchestrated the attack shook the very foundation of imperial trust. This was not an external threat, but betrayal from within. The Queen allowed the tumult to continue for several minutes before raising her hand for silence. I understand your anger, your fear. I share it. But we must not allow this attack to achieve its purpose. The reforms will continue. The guilty will face justice. Counselor Xylith, who had opposed the reforms from the beginning, rose slowly, her aged skin patterns showing genuine distress. Your Majesty, while I have disagreed with many of your changes, I must state clearly that violence is not our way. Those responsible have betrayed not only you but all Xyrillians. We support your efforts to bring them to justice. This unexpected support from a leading traditionalist shifted the mood of the chamber. Other counselors voiced similar sentiments. Gradually, a consensus emerged. The reforms would continue, even accelerate, as a defiant response to those who sought to end them through violence. The investigation and trials that followed were unprecedented in Imperial history. High-ranking security officials, military commanders, even a junior member of the royal family were implicated. The evidence was meticulously gathered, presented publicly. The Queen insisted on complete transparency, rejecting the traditional Xyrillian preference for handling internal matters privately. The trials were broadcast throughout the Empire. Each species could witness justice being administered according to the new imperial principles. The guilty were not summarily executed as tradition might have dictated. Instead, they were sentenced to rehabilitation and service on frontier worlds. Their crimes explained, their punishments justified. In the aftermath of the crisis, the various species of the Empire found themselves drawn closer together, having faced a common threat. They began to see each other as allies rather than competitors. The reforms gained momentum, cultural exchanges flourished, trade increased, collaborative projects in science, technology, and the arts emerged. 1 year after her accidental entry into the royal chamber, Olivia stood beside the Queen in a newly constructed memorial garden. Plants from all 17 imperial worlds grew together in careful harmony. The garden honored those lost in the attack while symbolizing the new unified empire. Representatives from each species placed commemorative markers for their fallen comrades. Dr. Chen, now the lead human diplomat, placed a simple stone carving for Ambassador Keller. Other markers honored the Zorlax delegation, the Silicate emissary, and several Xyrillian officials who had died protecting others. The Queen spoke without ceremonial flourishes, her voice carrying naturally across the garden. 1 year ago, an ordinary human entered my chamber by accident. This simple event began a transformation none could have foreseen. Today we honor those who gave their lives during this transformation. We remember their sacrifice, and we continue their work. Olivia felt the weight of many eyes upon her. The story of how a cleaning staff had become the catalyst for imperial reform had spread throughout the Empire, becoming almost mythical in its telling. She had received messages from humans throughout imperial space, thanking her for giving their species a choice. Others viewed her with suspicion, believing she had somehow engineered the entire situation. After the ceremony, the Queen invited Olivia to her private meditation chamber, a serene space with gently flowing water and soft ambient light. They sat in companionable silence for several minutes before the Queen spoke. On the 1-year anniversary of what became known as the Chamber Incident, Queen Zalara summoned Olivia to the royal gardens. The entire universe believes I saved the Empire by granting reforms, she said, her skin glowing with warm orange. The truth is, you saved us from ourselves. Our empire was rotting from within. The rebellions were just symptoms. Olivia smiled. We humans have a saying, Your Majesty. Sometimes the most powerful changes start with the smallest actions. The Queen nodded, her multifaceted eyes reflecting the starlight. Your accidental trespass was perhaps the most fortunate accident in our history. It showed us what we had forgotten, that strength comes in many forms and wisdom can be found in unexpected places. What comes next? Olivia asked, curious about the Queen's vision for the future. The Queen made a gesture that encompassed the stars visible through the viewport. We continue. We grow not merely in territory, but in understanding. The path will not be easy. The traditionalists have not all been converted. The rebels still oppose us, but for the first time in millennia, the Empire moves forward, not merely outward. Olivia nodded thoughtfully. The reforms had already achieved more than she could have imagined. Imperial citizens of all species reported greater satisfaction with their lives. The economy was growing. Cultural flourishing had begun. Innovation, long stagnant, was increasing as different species shared their unique perspectives and approaches. Dr. Chen joined them, the human diplomat, now a regular presence in the royal circle. Her formal attire marked her status as Earth's official representative to the imperial court. The past year has seen more progress in human-Xyrillian relations than the previous 20, she observed. The education initiatives have been particularly successful. Young Xyrillians now study human history and culture. Young humans learn about Xyrillian traditions and philosophy. The Queen acknowledged this with a pleased ripple of her skin patterns. Understanding must begin with the young. They have fewer preconceptions to overcome. As they discussed future initiatives, Olivia found herself reflecting on her own journey from failed artist to space servant to royal advisor. The path had been neither planned nor predictable, yet somehow it felt right. As if all her experiences had prepared her for this unique role. Later that evening, Olivia retreated to her quarters, now a comfortable blend of human and Xyrillian designs. She had begun painting again, finding time between her duties to explore her long-neglected passion. Her current work, an abstract interpretation of the memorial garden, sat on an easel. By the viewport, a communication alert sounded, a message from Earth from her mother. Olivia smiled as she accepted the call. The connection between Earth and the royal vessel had improved dramatically under the new communication initiatives. Regular contact with her family was now possible. Her mother appeared on the screen, her face showing the mixture of pride and bemusement that had characterized their conversations since Olivia's elevation. Clara Hart had never quite adjusted to her daughter's unexpected fame. "You look tired, honey," she said immediately, noticing what diplomats and counselors often missed. "Are they working you too hard?" Olivia laughed. "It's been a busy time, Mom. The anniversary ceremonies, you know." Her mother nodded. "The news shows here have been talking about it nonstop. You looked nice standing up there with the Queen, though. You could use a haircut. Some things never changed, no matter how far you traveled from home." Olivia provided reassurances, answered questions about her health, her diet, her sleep schedule, shared sanitized versions of recent events. Eventually, the conversation turned to news from Arizona, her mother's garden, the neighborhood gossip, ordinary human concerns that now seemed both distant and precious. After the call ended, Olivia returned to her painting, adding touches of color that represented each species in the garden. She had developed a style that combined human expressiveness with Xyrillian precision, an artistic bridge between worlds, much like her role in the Empire. A notification appeared on her personal device. A summons from the Queen. Not unusual, but the timing was odd. The Queen rarely requested meetings during the designated rest period. Olivia found the monarch in her private study, surrounded by holographic displays showing various imperial systems. Reports filtered in from countless worlds, statistics updates, security briefings. The business of ruling never truly stopped. "Your Majesty." Olivia greeted her with the formal bow that had become second nature. "You wanted to see me." The Queen dismissed the displays with a gesture. "I have been reviewing proposals for the next phase of reforms," she said. "An expansion of representation, further integration of species-specific knowledge into imperial education, more equitable resource distribution." Olivia nodded. These had been discussed in council meetings for weeks, sometimes contentious but progressing. "There is resistance still," the Queen continued, "both from those who think we move too quickly and those who believe we move too slowly. The traditionalists call me radical. The progressives call me cautious. Balance is rarely appreciated." Olivia Harty, "Imagine it's lonely." Olivia said, understanding intuitively the Queen's unspoken concern, trying to find the middle path when everyone pushes toward extremes. The Queen made a sound of agreement. "In 10,000 years of imperial history, no ruler has attempted what we now do. Change is not the Xyrillian way. Yet change is necessary." Move to the viewport, staring out at the stars. "The Empire will outlive us both." Olivia Hart. What we build now will shape lives for centuries. I feel the weight of that responsibility. Olivia joined her at the viewport. For a moment they stood in silence, human and Xyrillian united in contemplation of the future. I never expected any of this, Olivia admitted. When I took the job as cleaning staff, I just wanted to see the stars, pay off my debts, send money home. The Queen made the tinkling sound of Xyrillian laughter. Our expectations rarely match reality. The universe has its own designs.